Hello and welcome to the first Board Box reveal event. I'm so excited to finally share what we've been working on these last few months, as well as reveal the amazing game studios we've partnered with. Our experienced and very nerdy team has crunched the numbers, done the research, stayed laser focused on the market, and pulled together a collection of games we love and are excited to play, and we think you'll feel the same. The Genesis box really represents the first of many curated boxes we're going to share with the blockchain gaming community and serve as a gateway to much more in the future. We've got some really exciting things lined up for today, including game trailers, interviews with studio leads, and a Twitter space where we bring everyone together. So that's enough of me. Let's go open the Genesis board box and see some games. welcome Morten and Frisk from the Crypto Walkers team. Can't wait to jump into it with you guys. The first time I saw Crypto Walkers, it blew me away. It's absolutely beautiful, the world that you were building. Would love to hear from you. Just what is this universe that you're creating? Anything about the gameplay that you have in mind, and maybe a little bit about the characters that have been revealed so far.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having us aboard. So we're building a P2E multiplayer game on Unreal Engine called Crypto Walker Battlegrounds. The game is very similar to titles such as Battlefield and Fortnite and Call of Duty that everybody knows. Our focus is on team gameplay, so such as like capture the flag and similar game modes. And we're also doing Battle Royale mode. And also, since the start, we've been very focused on building a game that's fun to play. So something that people would actually play, whether it was on blockchain or not. And the fact that it is on Ethereum just opens up a lot of possibilities and integrations that we're taking advantage of, right? So so we're currently a small dev team in Stockholm, and we're scaling up. We are actually managed to attract one of the directors from DICE and EA to help come build the team and make the game great, right? And we're like, this is very huge for us because he was actually in charge of some big game franchises, namely Battlefield and Star Wars Battlefront. So it's amazing for us.
That's huge news. Yeah, I mean to get people from the quote unquote AAA traditional video game space to come in and help build with you. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly, and also build out the team, which he knows exactly who goes where, right? So it's fantastic. So just taking it back a little bit, we actually launched Crypto Walkers back in December last year. We were one of the first 3D full body and fully rigged NFT collections out there. And we're currently expanding this our character base to include female walkers as well. That will be coming out in early July, thereabouts. And we'll also be adding some partner projects as well. And all these will be integrated into the game as well. So that'll be a lot of fun as well. And we recently did a weapons drop as well that actually sold out in 13 minutes. So that was amazing. And all these weapons have been integrated into the game environment and will be equipable in game as well. So maybe one last thing to just mention is that we're also creating our own land called Walker World that also will tie in with the game and everything else that we're doing, and also include integrations with all our assets. So it's also possible to use any of our assets in there. So
that's great. Yeah, I personally was able to acquire a pistol and a sniper rifle, so I'm well equipped with the spectrum of weapons to make sure that I can be somewhat decent when playing in the future. But I'm not the best Twitch reflex player, so I'll have to use other strategies to try to compete and win. You mentioned sort of the battleground game mechanic that a lot of people have really taken to with games like Fortnite and so forth. Obviously, you're still in development, but any sort of general game mechanics or sort of unique elements that you guys have been thinking about that might surprise people, that might be somewhat different in your game versus other battleground style games?
Yeah, so what I think is the most different from the title that Morten mentioned is like that we have the zombie that is like really different. It's all the human characters are like the best way to go would be to have one of these weapons, but the zombies are melee oriented and they are like super quick. They jump high. They can show up from nowhere, and this makes the game dynamic, I think, add something different and fun
Yeah, that's
Right.
kind of unexpected for sure, especially for zombie. Typical video game zombies are kind of slow. There's lots of them. They're not agile. They're not like more advanced or have an advantage over the players. And so this is definitely, you're taking a unique approach, which I very much appreciate. So let's talk about what's inside the board box. We're so excited that you guys are participating in the Genesis drop. Had a lot of fun brainstorming with you about the item. There's a famous expression that people like to state when they're discussing the future, which is, "We were promised jetpacks." And now everyone knows that the board box Genesis drop will be inclusive of a Crypto Walker's jetpack. So, keeping in mind people who might be newer to what you're building, can you tell us a little bit about this specific item, both in terms of maybe the inspiration behind it and how it can be used in the game, at least how you're thinking about it right now?
It's the jetpack is like we looked a lot at the Mandalorian Boba Fett jetpack for inspiration in terms of design, and then we added some of your colors to the design for the lights and the exhaust and things like this to tie it back to this project, and as well as adding some stickers from our Crypto Walker Genesis collection, and adding some zombie blood splash all over to make it look a bit gory but still fun, and inspiration of gameplay is also Battlefront, which is they have a great gameplay with the jetpack. You can get up to places where you couldn't otherwise, and you also have these characters that can come up to you on you really quickly, and this is a great way to counter that inside of the game if you have a standard character.
Yeah, that's great. I've noticed in the last decade especially, many game genres have typically stuck to sort of horizontal movement, right? Like X, Y. And so you almost get another dimension with vertical movement in so many games now. And I love that you guys are playing into that as well. Just because, if it's like a shooter, type of game, you're able to go up and down, left and right. So it makes it more challenging, but I think it adds a lot of interesting gameplay possibilities too.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, awesome, guys. We're very excited to play Crypto Walkers and of course try out those jetpacks. So thank you for working with us again on the first drop and taking the time to chat. And we will talk to you soon in the Twitter Spaces.
Great.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Board.
Take care, guys. Hello again, everyone who is tuning in. We are now going to dive into our next board box partner, Battlebound. Welcome, Adam and Mayu. Thank you guys so much for being with us today.
Of course.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, super pumped.
Excited.
So let's start high level. When it comes to blockchain gaming, a lot of people talk about this idea of a metaverse. But right now, I really want to talk about the Avaverse, and specifically what it's like to traverse the Avaverse that you guys are building out on a very powerful and super cool hoverboard. Tell us about what you're building, and for newcomers, what should they know about the games that you have available today and the broader vision for what you're building out?
Yeah, so the Avaverse is our social wonderland. It's a Web3 competitive play-to-earn game that we're building on PC and eventually mobile. And it's meant to be the most fun way to play and earn with friends. And it's a series of different mini games, a game of games. We think of it almost like a virtual state fair that everyone's invited to come and participate in, that allows everyone to play all kinds of different games. And each mini game, so to speak, we call it an AVA game. It's meant to be like a high quality gaming experience of its respective genre that offers a variety of different ways to participate and earn and compete in the game itself.
Yeah, and in terms of the sort of high-level vision for the Avaverse, we really want this to be a place where you can be who you want to be, represent your taste and your avatars, and just enjoy your time, play the different mini games, be competitive, be casual, just have a fun time, and have a great experience in the Evaverse.
So I can be a big green floating head in the Evaverse, and no one will judge me for it. I love it. I know we talked a little bit about this kind of, offline, but I always love talking to fellow game designers about what inspired them. And, can you guys share a little bit about the types of games maybe that you grew up playing, perhaps some of the modern titles or genres that guide your approach to what you're building now?
Sure, I'll let Mayu take this one first, and then I'll try.
Oh. All right, yeah, sure. I would say, my taste in games has evolved over time for sure. When I was younger, I was really into first-person shooters and, Duke Nukem, Quake.
So
we had epic LAN parties where I would lug my PC and my giant heavy monitor to my friend's house and just, spend all night gaming. As I got a bit older and had a family, I got a lot into mobile gaming just because they're convenient. You always have it in your pocket. You can put in a little gaming session whenever you have 5-10 minutes. And now, I'm a big PC gamer, and I'm really enjoying sort of the diversity of indie games that's out there. So I'm more into turn-based strategy games, lots of sort of colony builders, simulation games, and monster hunting, monster collecting game. I'm a big collector. I grew up sort of on the non-digital side with Magic the Gathering and playing Dungeons and Dragons, and so I'm a big geek on that side of things. So anything fantasy with dragons is definitely appealing. I played pretty much every MMORPG that came out, at least for a while. So that's sort of where my gaming tastes lie.
Love it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll let you go first. I knew you'd probably be more thorough with the variety of games that you played. I mostly have stuck to competitive online multiplayer games. So, I mean, the first one that I ever played, I think I was probably 12, was Age of Empires. And it was my first time playing online, competing against. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't gotta tell you. Yeah. That was like just my first experience playing online against someone, and like being able to try and think 2-3 steps ahead and form a strategy and just throw things at the wall and see what works and what doesn't work. And I got hooked. So I loved playing Age of Empires, and then that turned into Warcraft 3, and then all my friends, we started having LAN parties as well, and staying up all night. And then I did mix in a little Counter-Strike in there, but then when World of Warcraft came out, it was like game over. So all of us just dove head first and like never looked back. So I played a little Final Fantasy 11 back then. But once I got into arenas and competitive MMO PvP, I just fell in love with that high level competition, which eventually turned into Dota, and then League of Legends in college, and then League of Legends was like my primary main game that my friends played for, I don't know, probably a decade now. And so it's still probably my favorite game. And I branched out to some more strategy and card games not too far, like Hearthstone and Legends of Runeterra. But for quality competitive gaming, I keep going back to League. And so, it was awesome because I used to work at Riot Games building League of Legends, so I worked on it for 4 years, which is sort of a dream come true in and of itself. Super fun product to be part of and help build out as well.
Yeah, well, proper nerd credits are bestowed upon you, so well done, and thank you for letting us geek out on that. So let's talk a little bit about Boardbox, and let's talk about what's in the box. Ever since I watched the movie Back to the Future 2, I wanted a hoverboard. And now I own one. It's a digital hoverboard, and you guys created it, and it's awesome. Can you talk a little bit about the digital item you created for Boardbox, and maybe perhaps some of the unique elements that are featured in it?
Yeah, I would love to. So we created 1,000, a set of unique, rare 1,000 fixed board-inspired hoverboards to join the Avaverse. And hoverboard racing is a big part of our racing mode inside the Avaverse, and so all of the hoverboards can participate in a variety of different races and kind of progress through the earning economy that we have in the Avaverse. And so These boards are special in that they have the unique board green and black visual effects and material treatments that none of the other hoverboards have. And they have an experience boost for leveling up, so they gain experience faster than your standard hoverboard would. And yeah, they each have unique stat profiles, so depending on which one you've got, you will either have a certain spread of acceleration, maximum speed, and handling, and the more you race with it, the more experience you'll gain, and they'll level up, and you'll gain more stats. And so depending on if you're more of an acceleration type or handling type, or you're going for optimum downhill max speed, your board will evolve the more you race and play with it.
Amazing, yeah. I'm definitely more of an acceleration guy, and in Mario Kart I always went for the motorcycles because I like to get off the line quickly. And I don't know if you guys take this as like a compliment, I hope you do, but one of my favorite games ever was SSX, Super Snowboarder Cross, and your game definitely gives me a little bit of a vibe there from that, like a modern version of that. So super fun, love it, can't wait for people to play it. And just to wrap things up,
they look amazing too.
Yes.
I was just gonna say they look amazing too. So if you rock up with one of those boards, you'll definitely turn some digital heads for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Get some glances on the slopes. So yeah, to wrap things up, can you talk a little bit about what's coming up for the rest of 2022? Can you share anything that won't get you in trouble?
We can, yeah. I mean, we have some huge plans for 2022 in the Avaverse, and as the game expands, I think probably one of the most hotly anticipated releases that we've been working on for quite a while is the Avaverse token launch. And so we are deploying a token into the ecosystem that players will be able to earn through the different mini games and progress and earn more of it the more time they play in game, but also the better they play, and as they compete with others, they'll have a chance to win more of those systems. And so that's one of the upcoming launches that we're really excited to release later in the year. We're also building new levels, new racetracks for hoverboard racing, new mini games. Mayu's been working really hard on the game design for the turtle racing game, which turtles are another NFT collection that we have in our game that follow you around, and turns out your turtle can also ride your hoverboard with you. So you can ride together and play games together, and soon the turtles will be able to go and race on their own. And yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No, yeah, that's great. Yeah, in terms of just gameplay, what's coming next for sure is the turtle racing. You know, we had endless meetings about, hey, here's some turtles, what kind of minigame should it be? Racing, of course turtles need to race. So it's gonna be a very much different gameplay than the hoverboard racing, but we really hope that that it's gonna really be fun, and we're looking for some feedback once we're there with releasing it. But yeah, we're have lots of good stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah, that sounds super fun. And again, take this as a compliment. One of my favorite reasons that I love playing Japanese games is because sometimes they just lean into weirdness, and like turtles racing on hoverboards is weird in the best possible way. So I'm super pumped for that. Well, guys, awesome. Adam, thank you so much for chatting with us today. Thank you for participating in the first Board Box. We're super excited to have you and honored. And we will catch you on the live Twitter Spaces very soon. So thanks for sharing with us today.
All right. Thank you. Honored to be here. Thanks for allowing us to be part of it.
All right, I am very excited to now speak to Steve over at Always Geeky Games. I have to say, tactical strategy games are probably one of my favorite genres. Kind of like chess, with a lot more depth and story, and a little bit less intensity, a little bit more levity. So I've been pumped to talk to the Voxy Tactics teams for a long time. Steve, thank you for being here today. For those who are less familiar with this type of game, this genre, could you provide a brief overview of Voxy Tactics and maybe go into some details on how you guys are unique and how you're approaching gameplay?
Yeah, sure. Nice to speak to you today. So yeah, like you mentioned, Voxy Tactics is basically essentially a complex chess game. So if anyone's not familiar with retro kind of RPG style tactics games from the early days of PlayStation and SNES, we take a lot of inspiration from games like Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, Tactics Ogre, a lot of those kind of old retro games. So essentially, we're basically a very complex version of chess. It's a turn-based one-on-one battle game where you basically have your characters and you're essentially trying to defeat the opponent's characters. So you do that by using, spells, magic, additional swords and shields, all of that kind of traditional kind of fantasy style gameplay. And one of the things that makes us, we think makes us unique is that we're basically taking that kind of, very retro genre, the very old school fancy tactical experience and trying to bring it updated for like the modern age. So we're introducing lots of mechanics and lots of complex, deep kind of tactical stuff that a lot of the retro games didn't have. So our game is very, very tactical, it's very deep. We have lots of classes in the game, lots of different races, and all of these kind of tactics elements all overlap each other, and it's very deep strategy.
Yeah, that's great. I personally grew up playing a lot of Advanced Wars, and I did try Final Fantasy Tactics, but there was so much reading involved that I was like, I just want to battle people. But it was a great game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the voxel style is really, I think, distinct and lets you have a lot of fun creatively. I was just curious, what was the inspiration for going with this look and feel?
Yeah, that's an awesome thing to talk about. I'm obviously very, very passionate about retro games, pixel art, voxel art. So for me, this was a bit of a no-brainer. Like I love the kind of blocky voxel art, and obviously in recent years, going back over the last decade or so, things like Minecraft and all of the similar kind of games have become huge, and people just love that kind of blocky kind of pixelated style. And I think actually there's another huge benefit that often doesn't get talked about too much is that it's a very accessible style. So anybody from kids all the way up to like full-on artists can really create whatever they want using the voxels. It's in a way it's kind of like digital Lego. It's very accessible, it's very recognizable, and everyone can kind of make their own style within it. People can do super complex models, or they can keep stuff very, very basic, like Minecraft, very blocky. And I think for me personally, it fits very well with the retro style we're going for, the kind of the fantasy vibe, very retro pixel art from like the early days of SNES and Mega Drive. So that's for me why I'm a big fan of voxel art.
Yeah, no, I love it. And also just thinking about a strategy game, it serves as like purposeful simplicity almost that doesn't distract you with all the sort of like the visual items that like a lot of like AAA games they basically sort of make up for lack of depth in gaming with cinematics and sort of very deep visuals. And I think when I'm playing a game that's like very strategy focused and I need to think very deeply, I like things to move quickly and I like things to be very simple. And so at least for me, like my experience is I really love that you made that choice in terms of the voxel style.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm biased, but wanted to talk a little bit about the item in the board box in our Genesis drop. We were so excited to work with you guys and do a little bit of brainstorming about what would go inside the box. So, again, thinking about individuals who might be newer to the game, can you talk a little bit about how accessories are used, and then specifically how the board edition took shape?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so in our game, basically, your characters, you're able to equip different items to each of their slots in the game. So we have, head slots for hats and for helms. We have body armor slots. We have gloves and feet and accessories and things like that. So it's a traditional RPG kind of equipment status. So when you guys approached us, we were super happy to kind of dive into the kind of the board aesthetic, the kind of the Elon, the board kind of branding. So that gave us lots of cool stuff to kind of think about and play with in terms of like the color schemes that you have, the themes that you have, your branding, plus also the kind of the Elon kind of space aspect of it. So what we're offering today for the board box is we're going to be giving all of the owners basically a board Astro helmet. So this is going to be something which the Voxy can wear, and it's styled as in like an astronaut's helmet, but it's coloured with the board box kind of colour themes, and there's a whole bunch of cool aesthetics there, very cosmetic, and it's going to play into the kind of the astronaut kind of space explorers kind of theming.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that you dove into the lore of Board, but didn't necessarily mess with your own environment and story. Yeah, very very exciting, and certainly very excited to play you guys in a few matches of Voxy Tactics. You're obviously going to be much better than me. Before we wrap up, one of the things that is most exciting, I think for me, is that Voxy Tactics is playable today. There are a lot of games, a lot of blockchain games that are in development, of course, and we'll be seeing many next year. You guys have been building for a very long time. People can play today. Can you just share where people can go to participate in the game and experience it now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, all of the socials can be shared, etc. But basically, if anybody searches for voxys.io or Voxy Tactics, they're going to get to our website. And like you mentioned, our game is accessible and playable today. We're currently in an open beta phase. So basically what that means is people can download the game, they can play it for free. It's a free-to-play game. They can use the board accessory if they have the board box directly today in the game. Plus also if they own Voxys or any other of the NFTs which are supported in our game, they're accessible directly in the game today.
Amazing. I can't remember if I told you this, but I bought a new PC, or laptop rather, so I could play the game. So you encouraged me to switch from my day-to-day Mac. Well done. Well, awesome. Thank you, Steve, for being here today, for chatting. We're so excited to be working with you, and we'll talk to your team on the Twitter Spaces soon.
Yes, thank you very much for having me. Super excited. Can't wait to see everybody in the game with their board Astro helmets.
Take care.
Thank you. Cheers.
All right, we are back, and we're chatting with Yas and Guru from the team at Galaxy Fight Club. Welcome, gentlemen. You guys have created one of my favorite mobile-first blockchain games, I have to say. For people who are newer to the space, can you provide a little bit of an overview of the game as it stands today, and then a bit more about the grander vision for what you want to build out?
Yeah, absolutely. So Galaxy Fight Club's mission, I guess, started out as being the Super Smash Bros. Of the NFT space. What that means is we believe in bringing in as many IPs from the NFT space as possible. So people can actually take their favorite NFT, if it may be a Bored Ape, a CyberKong, a Subduck, or whatnot, you name it, it's going to be in-game. So people can log in, play as their favorite NFT, battle it out in the arena, and have that immersive experience. Since we launched almost a year ago, our vision has slightly shifted. And yeah, I would say it got even bigger. And right now, I'd say that Galaxy Fight Club's mission is to be the Nintendo of the Web3 space. So we're not aiming to be the Super Smash Bros. Of the NFT space, but actually the Nintendo of the Web3 world. But instead of franchises coming together as we know it from the traditional Nintendo ecosystem, we're trying to have that closed loop with interoperability of digital items, digital assets, and a truly open ecosystem where players can accompany their friends and battle it out throughout different intellectual properties. And I think that's what makes us so special, is that we did manage to nail this process down in such a short period of time. And even now, if you log in, you'll see characters running around the arena, around the Colosseum, as we name it, from different NFT projects, which we are super excited about.
Yeah, well, I love the reference to Smash. I've lost a lot of friends by playing as Kirby and annoying the hell out of them. It's a good player for a good main for people who are not very good at the game, which is me. But yeah, it's a good analogy, and sort of this idea of bringing in IP or intellectual property from different places and bringing it into one game. It's something that's talked a lot about. But functionally, it can sometimes be a challenge, right? Because you are the game owner. So do you find that the best approach to sort of interoperability with gaming is basically purely on an aesthetic level. So like you as the game designer design how characters should operate within the world you built, and then people plug in essentially what is a skin.
So I think that, and maybe also to sort of slightly elaborate on the first question, maybe make the connection between the two questions. The way we view the NFT space as it stands right now is as composable Lego bricks. So we have like each project being essentially the basis or the part of a bigger picture. And obviously in this scenario with Galaxy Fight Club being the larger picture, so we aim to allow other projects to benefit from the additional utility that we can provide for them and interact with each other in a meaningful way. And I think when it comes to implementing these different projects, and yeah, I guess the whole idea started back in early June, I think, of last year, with, and I'm sure you were around at that time, a bunch of PFP projects dominating the space, right? So it was very much just about the aesthetics and having a pleasing profile picture, whereas, you know, moving forward and looking forward into the future, you know, people are starting to think more about, you know, how they can actually use those assets and use those, you know, PFPs as we knew them before. So I think that when it comes to integrating those different projects, obviously there is like always differences. There are some projects like the most well-known project, I guess, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, where each NFT holder actually owns the right to their own IP. So in that scenario, it's obviously a lot more difficult to implement the collection because you actually need the approval from each individual holder, right? Which is why we base most of the artwork for those projects on like derivative designs. Yep. Whereas for projects where the team owns the at least the full rights or the partial rights to the intellectual property, you know, we can just get in touch with the team, sort out the legal stuff, and then create the corresponding 3D assets. And that's essentially part of what the integration into Galaxy Fight Club looks like. So we take each initial design, which in most scenarios is your standard profile picture, break it down into a concept art, and then actually build a 3D model out of that, which we can then integrate into the game, and then scan people's wallets, see which NFTs they hold, and if they hold a Cyber Kong or a Bored Ape, then they'll be assigned with those characters, can hop into the arena and battle it out.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that was something I was wondering about, was how you guys prioritize which projects or which intellectual properties you put into the game first, and also which ones fit the most, you know, for your style, right? Like you guys want to be kind of, you know, a metaverse and bring everybody together, but there seems like there's infinite amounts of projects that you could potentially curate into your game. And so I was curious if there were any other factors you were considering in terms of which ones to bring in sooner than later.
I think that the initial progress or the initial barrier to entry when it comes to the negotiations with these projects is actually just getting in touch with them. Like, we know how busy everyone is in the Web3 space, especially founders and developing teams and people that are, you know, working towards their roadmaps and stuff. So it's actually really difficult to get the attention of those people. But if we just put that aside, I think that we don't necessarily have a clear prioritization when it comes to game integration. It's not like, you know, we say, okay, well, a project has to fit these criteria in terms of like trading volume or floor price and stuff like that. Even though obviously it looks great if we have, you know, projects like Cyberkongs and Subducks and Karafuru and stuff like that onboarded into our game, it's not about finding the most famous or the most expensive projects and providing that utility to those, but it's about community building, right? It's about seeing, you know, do our visions align? How is that community? Does it really fit with what our community is looking towards? and do they vibe together? Do we kick it off and we have the conversations? And most importantly, and I think this is what everyone in this space is scared of, right? Is getting into a partnership with a project that ends up being a rug. So we try to at least do some due diligence when it comes to selecting the partners. But in general, everyone who has aligned visions with ours is welcomed.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're speaking our language. With Boardbox, we're very much focused on the gameplay and also making sure that we bring the best games to people out there. So I'm glad you said that you're not making decisions on which projects to include based on like floor prices or anything like that. It's really what serves your community and what serves the game the best. So love to hear that. Guru, I know you kind of nerd out on this subject, but a big part of Galaxy Fight Club is weapons, right? It's like giving your character different abilities. So for people who are a bit newer or maybe haven't tried the game yet, can you talk a little bit about different types of weapons and maybe how they impact gameplay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking. And so, excuse me. So there's the basics: melee, close range weapons, and then ranged. You're firing from a distance. So the board laser, it will be one of the more powerful weapons in the game, and it will be a ranged weapon. So you're attacking from a distance. The current main format's like 3v3, so it's very much a team game. Tons of strategy. This will actually be the first ever like true pure collab weapon. So for those out there that are interested in collectibles or NFT history, you obviously have an incredible brand, the board brand times Galaxy Fight Club. So there's a huge collectability piece with this weapon as well. Then it becomes part of the grander and kind of permanent ecosystem here. So now subject to the nerfs or the buffs and the meta, is it too strong or too weak? So there's always that fun kind of learning experience and the up and down of it's too much of an advantage. But long story short, the board Elon laser, board box lasers, it's going to be a powerful in-game weapon. So people who are holding it when they're using it, they will have a distinct advantage over, for example, the free-to-play players. And I think, it's not, the specifics aren't exactly released, but people will be pretty happy using this weapon. I think it'll get to a point where, folks are maybe seeking out owners of the board laser because they want to team up with them. And it will provide a certain attack strategy in-game where maybe you have a board laser and then a melee fighter and, some other third player. So it will create its own strategy within the game, not just near term, but kind of forever. So that's another cool piece is this, you're kind of stuck with us now for the long term. And then, it's its own unique tradable NFT, which is always super cool. Play and own, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know that balancing a game like this is really hard. I've studied how certain games balance mechanics, and going back to Smash, like we referred to earlier, like I can't imagine Sakurai and team like trying to figure out how to make that game fair. So, as much as I want to make sure, the board weapon is powerful, if you guys have to nerf me or nerf the gun to make the game better, I think you should because.
Well, I just said it on record now, so it's gonna have to be strong.
That's I'm being humble and making sure you're allowed to balance the game, but I appreciate you coming in with guns blazing, if you will. So just to kind of wrap things up, one last question. I've spent some time playing the game. It's awesome, and the first thought I had when I played for the first time was like, this is going to be so great for competitive play. Can you guys talk at all about what you're planning or maybe thinking about for the next 12 months in terms of like tournaments and people playing against each other?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna have a pretty big event coming up in July, which is going to be our first official cross IP tournament. We're kind of referring to it as the championship. So that's going to be played within our game within Galaxy Fight Club, and teams from different projects are going to be competing for a prize pool of roughly between 250,000 to 500,000 US dollars in different assets. You name it: Ethereum, NFTs, Gcoin. So whatever we can get our hands on is going to be in that prize pool. And it's going to be very exciting because that's going to be the first time we're going to see, people watch and actually take part and participate in that immersive experience in the Web3 space. And, everyone from, say, the Cybercoms community is obviously going to be hoping for their team to win and stuff. So it's going to be very exciting. But aside from that, obviously with that being like the main tournament of the year coming up in the next month or so, we're going to have weekly tournaments for all partner collections. So also the holders of the board weapon can obviously participate in those weekly tournaments. And they're going to be different prize pools, obviously smaller amounts since they're going to be on a regular basis. But going to be able to participate in those and take advantage of the whole ecosystem.
That's great. And, as somebody who spends time watching kind of traditional video game competitions like esports, I mean, 500K is a serious prize pool, and kudos to you guys for offering that up. It's going to get a lot of attention. And if I wasn't so bad at the game for now, I would probably try to participate. But that's great. That's really exciting and something for people to look forward to who are, getting their new weapon in the board box. So Yaz and Guru, thank you guys so much for your participation in Board Box, for being here today. And we're pumped to chat with you in the Twitter spaces. So yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Love it. Glad to be here.
Hello, friends. I am so happy to be closing out our first ever Board Box developer interview series with two fine gentlemen, Jeff and Karen from Atom Car Club. How are you guys, and how are you feeling about letting everyone in the world see your beautiful new Martian speeder?
Thanks, Board. We're so passionate about creating amazing vehicles and digital experiences. Our team was literally shaking when we got a call from you about Board Box, and the amazing thing about the metaverse is that we can use technology that hasn't reached Earth yet. We've been inspired by sci-fi and fantasy vehicles all our lives, and having the chance to build custom, limited edition race vehicle for Mars was the perfect opportunity to express all of these in a special, unique way. Our team wasn't able to think of anything else or focus on anything else while we were putting together the concept. We wanted to sort of express a high level of sophistication and luxury experienced by an advanced culture while also inspiring the motorsport blood running through within their vein. The result's pretty amazing, and although we've created so many vehicles for Atom Car Club, this is one I must own. I'm definitely going to be collecting.
Yeah, same here. For
it's,
sure.
It's great. Everyone thinks about vehicles for getting to Mars, but not too many people are thinking about the vehicles that you will use to traverse Mars. So very excited to take a ride. The first time we saw the Mars speeders, our team lost our fluffing minds, as some of you would say on your end. The final concept, which is going to be claimable in the Genesis board box, features a vehicle which, as we said, can not only traverse the Martian landscape, but can also fly. I grew up playing lots of automotive tuning games like Gran Turismo and Midnight Club, if you guys are familiar with those. Are there any gaming influences that you all pulled from? And how are you pushing the boundaries by expanding on the idea of what is a car?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Karen will back this up, is every member of our team is deeply passionate about gaming. And, our experiences have transformed with time and technology. And, for me, gaming was something done in an arcade, or you went to the video store and rented a console for the weekend on a special weekend or something like that. So you can imagine the excitement when you're opening something, a new game for the first time, and you're investing yourself into it. The platforms that we've used have become more advanced and more capable of photorealistic simulations. We loved playing countless games like Need for Speed and Gran Turismo, and back to pixelated games, in the arcades, and Lotus Turbo Challenge,
or the console games like Colin McRae Rally. They're all part of the life that we've lived in this digital car culture. Every new game, like, we've invested into the skill and the cars and progressing and becoming champion, and I think we've imagined owning the cars and how we would make them, customize them if we could. Actually, personally, me and my brothers bought a Lotus Esprit just out of nostalgia for that arcade game that we played as kids.
Yeah, I can attest to that Jeff's pretty passionate. There's quite a few cars around the country in Jeff's name.
Amazing, yeah. And I certainly hope that it encourages people to also go back to or learn about, for the first time, tuning culture and actually getting into real vehicles. Certainly it's getting harder where our traditional cars are turning into electric vehicles and are getting almost too complicated for people to mess with, but maybe they can be like you and get a vintage Lotus vehicle and play with that in their garage.
Yeah, and
or just play with the virtual version. We want to make the experience of being in the club and owning an asset inside of the game environment, like being part of a club and being able to tune your vehicles and to participate, at least virtually, in that part of the culture. Maybe you don't get the deep throaty roar that you would, jumping into our Impala and opening up the pipes, but you definitely kind of get to kind of play along in terms of those aspects of club life. And we do want to make the car club an in real life experience too. So maybe it's something you wanted to be a part of, or you could never afford a cool car, or whatever it happens to be. So that the in real life events and physical car club locations that we intend to build out will allow people to come along and experience that, even if you can't do it, they don't have space in the garage or whatever it happens to be. So they'll get to kind of come and see some of the cars and hang out and be part of that process as well.
And certainly cars for a long time have been a status symbol in the physical world, and they will continue to be one in the digital world. So one last piece of information that was very exciting for us today on Reveal Day is that every Boardbox owner will not just be getting a badass vehicle to claim, but also an Atom Car Club membership card. So could you share some more details on what that access will mean in the immediate future and beyond, in terms of what you're able to share at this point?
Cool. Well, we're big fans of gaming and car culture, and Atom is a place where we can express that with like-minded people. Building of a club gives us the resources and the community to bring experiences and brands together and continue to add value. So part of those values will be events and sponsorships shared in person and virtually, venues and opportunities in motorsport and collections, acquisition of collectible cars owned by the club, a community space and club management focused on the community and bringing partnerships and opportunities to members.
Amazing.
Yeah, I think like the whole vibe is that we're kind of blending the real experience of being part of a car club, the digital extension of that, so that this real car club can exist in the metaverse, and then the totally virtual part of that experience, which is owning and tuning and racing cars within the Atom Car Club burn down environment. And even to the extent now, being that this is the open metaverse, and that's something that we're kind of really strong on believing, making it so that just like any car club, we could challenge other car clubs to races or leagues or those kinds of things within the context of the burn down environment. So it's not just exclusively us that we're trying to kind of build some walled garden around. It's actually be a club as part of a metaverse of clubs. And we're having some of those conversations already about how we can integrate with other car collections out there in the metaverse and make this truly like a club experience where you have those rivalries and people can kind of come together from different collections or different kind of communities and participate in the Atom Car Club environment as well.
Yeah. So one big question I had is the Atom Car Club is part of a larger ecosystem, and you're tapping into one specific culture, which is car culture, and that's going to be a very focused area. But can you talk a little bit about how the Car Club might fit into the larger ecosystem of projects that you are currently building out?
Yeah, I think you can probably tell that I'm joining board in the metaverse here as an avatar, and we are part of the Fluff World ecosystem, and Atom Car Club is an integral part that's integrated into a bunch of the different elements of our wider ecosystem. So obviously, building out meta worlds like we are, you're going to need to get around. And so having transportation is like an important thing. No one wants to walk everywhere. That's a bore. We want people to be able to drive and fly and portal through the meta worlds. And so having vehicles as part of that wider ecosystem was a natural evolution of how we were going to build this out. I think also one really, really interesting part is how the Atom Car Club is integrated into the Altered State Machine. Altered State Machine is a protocol for attaching artificial intelligence to NFTs. And so when you have your car in the burn down game, you'll be able to put an AI driver in it and have them train and learn how to drive in the game and compete against other Altered State Machine AIs in the game. So we think this is a really fun format for people to engage in a car racing environment where it's not you necessarily driving the car, but you have this AI agent that does it for you, and your job is to manage your team and set your car up right, just like you would be in a car club environment. Have a team of people that maybe do that, and then one person's driving, but in this case the AI is doing the driving. So we've got great integration with Altered State Machine inside of the Burn Down game, and we've got great collaboration within the meta worlds for Fluff World and its associated ecosystem of characters. We're also kind of broadening out our footprint there with collaborations that we're bringing into the Car Club as well. So we have a whole bunch of artists who are creating music and content to experience inside of the Atom Car Club environment that integrates across the rest of the Fluff World and Altered State Machine ecosystem as well. I don't know if Jeffrey told you about our partnership with Timbaland, but that's one of a number of really exciting music partnerships we have. So we want to really kind of extend the work that we've done in Fluff World with bringing music as a core element into the collection and extend that to the Atom Car Club as well. I mean, what's a car game or road trip through the metaverse without great tunes? So all of those things come together to create a really great interaction across our ecosystem of content.
Yeah, no, I have vivid memories of soundtracks of video games featuring vehicles, so that's such a great point. And also, two big headlines I'm hearing from you is that no one walks in the metaverse, and also no one should have to drive their car in
exactly.
the metaverse.
Yeah, we live in the future, man.
Amazing. Well, and I certainly will be helping provide tips on racing on Mars. The gravity is 38% of Earth, and if you pull a turn a little too hard, your car's going tumbling. So luckily the speeder will help course correct. But we're really excited to see what you guys do, what everybody does with their brand new Mars speeders, and it's been a blast to collaborate with you guys on this, and we're so excited that you're part of the Genesis board box. So thank you team so much for your participation, And we will catch you in the Twitter Spaces very soon.
Thanks, Board.
Hi again, everyone. I loved meeting and talking with our different gaming teams, and hope you enjoyed getting to know them a bit more as well. We'd like to thank all of our gaming partners who took this leap of faith with us. They make up everything the BoardBox brand represents. The future of BoardBox isn't just collections of games, it's access to gaming events, demos, additional game content, and even if you're not an owner, a really good set of recommendations around games to consider playing. Today was the first reveal, but we will continue releasing boxes as the blockchain gaming market grows. Not on any particular cadence, but when we feel we can deliver a strong collection of games for you. So we hope to see you soon. And we're not done yet. Our last event of the day will be a Twitter space where we bring our studio partners and members of the gaming community together. Please follow us over to Twitter, and you'll see the space joining shortly.